Thanks everyone for joining. Super excited about this webinar. We're going to introduce Avalara's newest product and then also cover some information that we view as just generally helpful for businesses out there. Now, for a lot of businesses, when there is an unexpected tax liability, you have a few different options for how you're going to handle that. You can work with the relevant jurisdiction on a payment plan, which can take time and may not necessarily get approved. And we see a lot of businesses also look to traditional sources of capital to sort of bridge the gap. And that might be working with a business banker and taking out a line of credit or going and getting a small business loan. But oftentimes these sort of traditional sources of capital can fall short. And so a lot of the friction points are really around the fact that the applications are long, they require a ton of information. There's oftentimes delays where the teams that are underwriting your business aren't moving at the speed that you need them to. And most importantly, it's really hard to predict whether or not your application is going to be approved. And if it is approved, what amount you're going to get and whether that will cover the full liability. And so what teams really want instead is something that's fast and flexible, right? You can go in, you can apply and get approved, quickly. It's built into their existing workflows, so they don't have to go, elsewhere and sort of, build a relationship, right? It's super easy when things are native and built in what you're using today. And then a solution, frankly, that's purpose built for the types of liabilities and use cases that you all are facing today. The brief overview is that this is a working capital tool that is now available in the Avalara portal. It's primarily designed to eliminate any, cash flow gaps that might, arise when you're dealing with tax liabilities or, your business is just, has a gap in cash flow for one reason or another. We're really agnostic to how the funds are used. And so you could use this product to go out and to fund business operations, but we see a lot of customers, primarily use it to address any tax liabilities that may come up. The product provides instant year-round access to flexible, funding. And so what that means is that you are not, signing up and being locked into having to draw down from this line of credit. It is always there and available once you've been approved, and you don't have to pay for it. So if you never use it, there are no fees. And so for that reason, a lot of folks like that it acts as sort of the security blanket that's available if they should, they should need it. And then most importantly, this is something that's delivered directly in the Avalara portal. So you don't need to juggle a new login. You don't need to talk with someone who doesn't understand and know your business today. This is something that is built in and acts as an add-on to the Avalara product that you all already know and love. So some of the key benefits, it is really, really easy to apply for Avalara Capital. We see most applications can be completed within 5 minutes or less. Once you submit the application, you can be approved and have access to a line of credit within seconds. And if for whatever reason there's additional information we need about your business, you're able to provide that info and then get an updated decision within 48 hours. So again, super fast, super easy to get up and running. It's always available once it is up and running. And it's built, to handle all of the different use cases that might come up as you're using the Avalara product. We always think it's helpful just to put Avalara Capital into context for some folks. And so, one example of this is, you have a tax liability that's due, but for one reason or another, you've earmarked that cash for payroll, right? You got to pay your people and your team. Or maybe there's inventory that you need to purchase for a new project or, new expansion opportunity, or just general growth investments. In those instances, folks can use Avalara Capital to finance the liability that's been identified in AvaTax. And then with, just a few clicks, you can actually resolve that liability once the funds have actually hit your bank account. So high level, again, how this works. You already use Avalara. We do the tax calculations and have all of our other products there. You can see what's due, what's owed. You can apply for Avalara Capital, in minutes. Once approved, you'll be ready to draw down from that line of credit. And then again, every time that you execute a draw, you have the ability to, determine how much you want to draw down from your line of credit. And then once you input the amount that you would like, we'll then present all of the terms related to that draw. So you'll know how much the draw is going to cost you. You'll know exactly, what days payments will be due to pay off that draw. You'll know when that, draw is going to reach maturity, meaning when has it been fully paid off, so you can do your planning. And you won't even have to worry about, actually making these repayments. The great thing about Avalara Capital is once you execute the draw and designate a bank account for repayment, the system will automatically pull the funds on the pre-scheduled dates. So it's essentially hands-off. And one of the things folks really like about this is that we connect to your ERP. And so as you actually take out, or execute a draw and make repayments, our system is automatically, reconciling those transactions in your ERP. And so it's completely hands-off. What that means is that the product will always be competitive compared to what others are offering out there. And we will certainly be faster. And the more you use this product and the more, successful payoffs that, occur, the lower the rates will become, as this really sort of learns the overall behavior and sort of what's, most helpful for your business. Rates start pretty low. And again, they can continue to get lower based on your business's use of the product. There's also no hard credit checks here. So we're not, doing a hard credit check on the owners of the business, right? Which is oftentimes a requirement for traditional lines of credit or loans. And so that makes this a lot more accessible for folks.